Please don't do this. I've worked here for 10 years. How can you just throw me out like this?
You're not gonna fight this?
Would it change anything?
The divorce papers sat between them on the mahogany desk. 12 years of marriage reduced to 43 pages of legal terminology and the sound of her heart shattering. Sienna's hands trembled as she reached for the pen. Downtown Atlanta stretched behind Vincent through floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sprawling below like a kingdom he'd conquered while losing the only thing that mattered. He didn't even look up from his laptop. That's what killed her most. Not anger, not tears, just this cold indifference, like she was another business transaction to finalize. You're not going to fight this? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Vincent's fingers paused over the keyboard. Would it change anything? Last Sunday's dinner at the Buckhead Mansion flashed through her mind. Beverly's icy smile as she announced Vincent's cousin just had twins. Rochelle and Imani exchanging knowing glances across the table. The way Vincent sat there, silent while his family dissected her failure like it was dinner conversation. She'd driven home alone that night. He'd stayed for cigars with his uncles. I can't be invisible anymore, Sienna whispered. I can't keep apologizing for something I can't control. 6 months ago, they'd tried one last time. The mechanics of it, scheduled, timed, clinical. His body went through the motions while his mind was clearly elsewhere. Afterwards, she cried in the bathroom while he answered work emails in bed. That's when she knew. You can survive a lot in a marriage, but you can't survive being alone in the same room. Have you ever loved someone so much that staying hurt more than leaving? Have you watched the person you married become a stranger? Tell me in the comments what finally made you say enough. Sienna stood, smoothing down her dress with shaking hands. The afternoon sun caught her wedding ring, the diamond Vincent had chosen 17 years ago when he still looked at her like she hung the moon. I'll have my lawyer send the final... Wait. Vincent's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. His voice cracked on that single word. She froze. This was the first time he'd touched her in months. There's something you need to know first. He pulled an envelope from his desk drawer, his hands unsteady. Medical records dated 2 weeks ago. What is this? Vincent's jaw tightened. The truth we should have found 12 years ago, 5 years earlier. She walked into a charity gala in Savannah, wearing a borrowed dress, and left wearing his heart on her sleeve. The ballroom glittered with old Southern money and new Atlanta power. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing light across faces, too practiced at smiling, too skilled at pretending. Sienna moved through the crowd, feeling completely out of place. A pediatric nurse from Savannah's working-class neighborhoods, surrounded by people who probably spent more on their watches than she made in a year. Then she laughed, not the polite, measured laughter everyone else performed, real laughter, genuine, unguarded, at something the hospital administrator said about insurance companies. The sound cut through the careful atmosphere like a bell. Vincent Carmichael, standing with a group of developers near the bar, turned toward that sound like a man finding north. She didn't notice him approaching. Didn't see the way he dismissed his business associates with a subtle gesture. Didn't realize she'd become the only person in the room that mattered to him. What's so funny? His voice was warm, curious. Sienna looked up, way up, at the most attractive man she'd ever seen. Designer suit that probably cost more than her car. Confidence that came from never hearing the word no. But his eyes held genuine interest, not the predatory assessment she'd learned to recognize from rich men who thought nurses were easy targets. Just the truth about healthcare, she said, deciding honesty was safer than flirting. We spend more time fighting insurance companies than treating patients. Then we're in the wrong business. He extended his hand. Vincent Carmichael. Real estate, Sienna Hayes, pediatrics. His handshake lingered just a moment longer than professional. Do you believe in love at first sight? Have you ever met someone and just known they would change your life? Drop a heart if you felt that instant connection. 3 hours later, they were still talking. The gala ended, but neither noticed. He walked her to the garden for air, their conversation flowing from childhood dreams to current frustrations, to hopes neither had voiced before. Under strings of lights, wrapped around old oak trees, Vincent pulled her close. Can I kiss you? Sienna's breath caught. You're asking permission? Always. When their lips met, it felt like coming home to a place she'd never been. His hands on her waist, gentle but certain. The night air warm around them. Everything else falling away. 6 months later, he proposed on that same terrace. The ring caught moonlight as he promised her forever. I'm going to build you an empire, he whispered. She should have asked what it would cost. Their first 5 years were the kind of love story people write songs about, until the silence of an empty nursery turned passion into pressure. The Buckhead estate rose around them like a monument to their success. Vincent's company expanded from Atlanta to Nashville, then Charlotte. Sienna continued working at Children's Healthcare, refusing to quit despite Vincent's wealth. They were partners in business, in life, in bed. Their bedroom overlooked Atlanta's northern suburbs, dawn breaking over the city they were conquering together. His fingers traced her spine in those quiet morning moments when the world belonged only to them. Good morning, Mrs. Carmichael. Good morning, Mr. Carmichael. Year 1, they'd laughed about starting a family when the time was right. Year 2, they began trying casually. No pressure, just love expressed through bodies that fit together perfectly. Year 3 brought hopeful anticipation. Every month became a possibility. Every negative test, a disappointment they'd faced together. Their intimacy evolved. What started playful, stolen moments in his office, spontaneous afternoons in bed, became purposeful. Ovulation tracking, timed encounters. His touch still felt good, but something shifted beneath the pleasure. A goal replacing the joy. Year 4, the whispers started. Beverly asking pointed questions at Sunday dinners. Rochelle mentioning her own easy pregnancies. Imani bringing her babies to family gatherings like tiny accusations. Vincent defended Sienna at first. We're young. There's time. But his reassurances started sounding hollow. Year 5 brought doctors, specialists, tests, charts, medications. The bedroom that once witnessed their passion became a clinical space where romance died beneath medical protocols. We need to try tonight became more common than I want you. When did making love become making a baby? When did joy become obligation? Comment below if you felt intimacy change under pressure. The doctor's voice was kind but firm. Both of you are healthy. Sometimes these things just take time. Walking to their car, Vincent's phone rang. His mother, Beverly. Sienna watched his jaw tighten as he listened, watched the walls start building behind his eyes. She wants to know if we've considered adoption, he said flatly. That night, he slept in his office for the first time. Sienna lay alone in their king-sized bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly the man she married started disappearing. She learned that Sunday dinners at the Carmichael mansion weren't about family. They were interrogations disguised as concern. With her fertility on trial every week, the Buckhead mansion loomed like a monument to tradition and expectation. White columns stood tall as judgment, gardens stretched out, perfectly manicured, just like the smiles that hid daggers. Beverly Carmichael held court at the head of the dining table, framed photos of Vincent's late father positioned strategically around the room. A Carmichael man needs heirs, she'd say. touching each frame like religious artifacts. This particular Sunday was worse than usual. "I saw Rachel Morrison at the club," Beverly announced over roasted chicken. "Her daughter-in-law just announced she's pregnant with their third." She let that hang in the air like smoke. Rochelle leaned forward, voice dripping with false sympathy. "How long has it been now? 7 years?" "6," Vincent corrected quietly, not looking at Sienna. "6 years," Imani echoed, bouncing her toddler on her lap. "That's a long time to wait for grandchildren, Mama." Sienna's fork froze halfway to her mouth. The roast suddenly tasted like ash. "Have you considered that maybe God is telling you something?" Beverly's voice was sharp as crystal. "Maybe she's not, Mother." Vincent's warning came too late and too weak. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. The Carmichael bloodline..." "Excuse me." Sienna stood, her chair scraping against marble floors. "I need some air. Has your family ever made you feel inadequate? Have you watched someone you love choose family approval over you? Share your experience below." Vincent found her in the garden 20 minutes later. No apology, no defense of her, just silence, heavy with resentment. The drive home was quiet. Their estate felt cold despite the Georgia heat. Later, in their bedroom, frustration boiled over into anger. He grabbed her roughly. She pulled him closer desperately. They crashed together, trying to reclaim something already lost. His hands moved over her body without tenderness. Her nails dug into his back without pleasure. It wasn't making love. It was a battle neither could win. Afterward, he held her while she cried. Apology through touch, because words failed him. But touch wasn't enough anymore. 3 months later, Beverly handed Sienna a business card at another Sunday dinner. A fertility specialist in Nashville who worked miracles for the Morrison family. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Vincent took the card without looking at his wife. That night, Sienna found him researching surrogate options on his laptop. The man she married was gone. A stranger wearing his face remained. The fertility treatments didn't fail. They succeeded in destroying what the doctors couldn't fix. Their marriage. Atlanta, Nashville, Charlotte. 3 states, 7 specialists, countless procedures. Sienna's body became a battleground in a war she couldn't win. The injection sites dotted her abdomen like marks of shame, each one a reminder that her body refused to cooperate, that she was failing at the one thing wives were supposed to do. The hormones made her emotional, bloated, exhausted. Vincent watched from a distance, like she was a science experiment gone wrong. "You need to inject at 7 p.m. exactly," he'd remind her, checking his watch, clinical as any doctor. The romance died under medical protocols, no spontaneous touches, no lazy Sunday mornings in bed, everything scheduled, timed, measured. "We have a window tonight," became his version of foreplay. Their bedroom transformed into something cold. He'd enter her mechanically, efficient, joyless. She'd lie there, counting ceiling tiles, feeling more alone than celibacy ever made her. Sometimes she cried afterward. He pretended not to notice, already reaching for his phone to check work emails. Vincent's business trips increased. Miami projects kept him away for weeks. Houston developments demanded his attention. Conference calls filled the hours he used to spend with her. "I can't miss the Nashville presentation," he said, when she reminded him about the important clinic appointment. She went alone. Sat in waiting rooms alone. Received bad news alone. What happens when your body betrays you? When trying to create life kills the love that inspired it? Tell me in the comments how you've dealt with medical struggles affecting relationships. The 3rd IVF cycle failed on a Tuesday. Sienna called Vincent at his Houston office. He was in a meeting. His assistant promised he'd call back. He didn't. 5 days later, he walked through their door at 2 a.m. She was still awake, had been awake for 5 days straight, mind circling the same dark thoughts. His shirt smelled like perfume that wasn't hers. Sienna didn't ask where he'd been. Vincent didn't explain. They both stood in their marble foyer, 12,000 square feet of house, two people who'd never felt further apart. Something had broken that couldn't be fixed with more treatments, more procedures, more pretending. They both knew it. Neither had the courage to say it, not yet. The text message wasn't meant for her, but when Vincent's phone lit up at 3 a.m. with, "Last night was amazing," Sienna finally understood why he'd become a ghost in their own home. She'd been awake anyway. Sleep was impossible these days. The phone vibrated on his nightstand, screen glowing in the darkness. Vincent slept soundly in the guest room down the hall. He'd moved there permanently last month with some excuse about not disturbing her. Sienna reached for the phone before thinking. One message, then another, then dozens scrolling back weeks. Candice, a Miami real estate attorney. Beautiful, successful, childless by choice. The messages weren't explicit. Somehow that made them worse. Inside jokes, late night conversations, emotional intimacy Sienna hadn't shared with her husband in years. "At least she doesn't make me feel broken." Those words stared back at her from a week-old message. Sienna's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the phone. The master bedroom, 12,000 square feet in their estate, and this room felt the emptiest, became a courtroom at dawn. She confronted him with evidence. He didn't deny it. "I didn't sleep with her," Vincent said, not meeting her eyes. "That almost makes it worse." Sienna's voice was dead calm. "You gave her everything you used to give me." "She doesn't look at me like I'm failing." The words exploded between them. Years of resentment finally given voice. "Because she doesn't need anything from you," Sienna shot back. "She's not the one with your mother breathing down her neck every Sunday. She's not the one getting pumped full of hormones while you're in Miami pretending business matters more than your marriage." Their last anniversary trip to Napa Valley flashed through her mind. Separate hotel rooms, polite smiles for the resort staff, her alone in the bathtub afterward, touching herself while crying, remembering when his hands used to worship her body. Him on the balcony, drinking bourbon, staring at the vineyards, wondering when duty replaced desire. Is emotional infidelity worse than physical? Can you forgive someone who sought comfort elsewhere when you needed them most? Comment your thoughts below. "I didn't sleep with her," Vincent repeated, "but I wanted to." He sank onto their bed, defeated. "Because when I'm with Candice, I'm not the failure who can't give his mother grandchildren." Sienna packed her bags. 13 years reduced to 2 suitcases. She was halfway out the door when her phone rang. Beverly, her voice shaking. "Vincent collapsed at his office. Paramedics took him to Emory. They're saying cardiac event. The hospital needs you." Sienna looked at her packed bags, at the home that stopped feeling like home, at the door that promised freedom. Then she grabbed her keys. Some habits die harder than love. The diagnosis changed everything. Not because it fixed anything, but because it proved 12 years of blame had been aimed at the wrong person. The private room at Emory University Hospital smelled of antiseptic and regret. Machines beeped steadily, monitoring the heart that had broken hers while breaking itself. Vincent lay pale against white sheets, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. "Stress-induced cardiac event," the doctor explained. "We're running comprehensive tests." Sienna stood by the window, arms crossed, guarding herself. Beverly sat beside her son's bed, mascara running. Rochelle and Imani hovered near the door, silent for once. The tests came back that afternoon. "Mr. Carmichael, we've discovered something unexpected." The doctor's voice was careful. Your fertility workup from years ago was incomplete. The cardiac stress triggered more extensive testing. You have severe male factor infertility, structural abnormalities that would make natural conception nearly impossible. The room went silent. That's not possible, Vincent whispered. The doctors said the initial testing wasn't thorough enough. This condition was there all along. 12 years. 12 years of blaming Sienna. 12 years of Sunday dinners where his family dissected her failures. 12 years of treatments that tortured her body for nothing. Beverly's face went white. You mean it was never her? Vincent's voice cracked. It was always me. Would you forgive someone who blamed you for something that was their fault all along? Can love survive that level of betrayal and misunderstanding? Share below. Sienna should have felt vindicated. Instead, she just felt tired. Later, when his family left, she helped him change into a clean hospital gown. Her fingers brushed his skin, first real touch in months. Something dormant stirred between them, despite everything. I'm sorry, Vincent said, tears streaming. God, Sienna, I'm so sorry. She sat on the edge of his bed. You destroyed us for nothing. I know. Your mother destroyed me. Your sisters pitied me. You let them. I know. Her hand found his. Not forgiveness, just exhaustion from carrying hate. Vincent kissed her palm, tasting salt from tears he finally let fall. The kiss held apology words couldn't carry. Years of cruelty compressed into one moment of shared grief. The doctor returned with recommendations. Natural conception isn't possible, but there are options. Sperm retrieval, IVF with specialized techniques, donor assistance. Vincent stared at the ceiling. I put you through hell for nothing. Sienna's response shocked them both. Not for nothing, because now we know the truth. The question is, what do we do with it? Forgiveness doesn't happen in hospital rooms under harsh lighting. It happens in the quiet moments when you decide someone's worst mistake doesn't define your future. Vincent came home 3 days later. The drive was silent. Their estate rose before them. Columns and marble, a monument to success built on a foundation of lies. I fired Candace, he said as they walked inside. Cut all Miami projects. No more extended trips. Sienna set her purse down. That doesn't fix this. I know, but it's a start. Beverly called that evening, not to criticize, to apologize. I pushed too hard, his mother admitted, voice breaking. I made you both miserable chasing something that didn't matter. I'm sorry, Sienna. I'm so sorry. Rochelle and Imani sent flowers, text messages, actual apologies instead of thinly veiled judgment. Their estate felt different now, less like a showpiece and more like a home they might rebuild together. Evening light through the windows turned harsh marble warm, softened the edges that had felt so cold. That night, Vincent found Sienna on their bedroom balcony. Can we talk? They talked for hours, really talked about pain, about resentment, about the people they'd become and the people they used to be. I don't know if I can forgive you, Sienna said honestly. I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. Is it weak to give someone a second chance or brave? What would you do in Sienna's position? Let me know in the comments. Later, he kissed her, not demanding, asking permission with gentle pressure that waited for her response. She kissed him back, tentative, testing if anything remained worth saving. Clothes came off slowly. Tears interrupted touches. They laughed at awkwardness, cried at tenderness, relearned each other's bodies with patience they'd forgotten existed. No baby-making schedule, no clinical purpose, just two people finding each other again in the wreckage. Afterward, tangled together, Vincent's phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject: regarding your inquiry, surrogacy options available. He'd sent that inquiry 3 weeks ago when he thought she was the problem. Now it felt different, like possibility instead of punishment. What if we could still have this? he asked carefully. A family, our way. Together this time. Sienna stared at the ceiling, processing. We have a lot of work to do first. I know. Therapy, real communication, no more running. Whatever it takes. She turned to face him. Ask me again, in 6 months. Starting over doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to write a different ending to a story that almost destroyed you both. The therapist's office in Midtown became their safe space. Neutral ground where truth could breathe without judgment, where 12 years of pain could finally be examined and released. Tell her what you need, Dr. Chen prompted. I need you to choose me over your family, Sienna said, looking at Vincent directly. Every time, without hesitation. Done. I need you present, not just physically, actually here. Vincent nodded, writing it down like business notes. What else? They rebuilt slowly. Date nights at restaurants where they weren't known, long drives to nowhere, conversations that lasted until dawn. He cut back Miami projects, delegated Houston developments, started coming home at reasonable hours. Can therapy really save a marriage? Have you rebuilt trust after it was shattered? Share your healing journey below. Sunday dinners changed. Beverly cooked at their house now. Smaller, intimate, no judgment allowed. Rochelle and Imani asked about Sienna's work, actually listened. The family photos of Vincent's father stayed at the mansion. 6 months in, they researched surrogacy together. Adoption agencies. Different paths to the same destination. One Tuesday, Vincent surprised her at the hospital during her shift. I need you, he said, pulling her into an empty office. Vincent, I'm working. He kissed her urgently. She kissed back, laughing against his mouth at the absurdity. She initiated this time, unbuttoning his shirt, pushing him against the desk, taking what she wanted instead of waiting to be asked. They made love quickly, quietly, reconnecting without fertility windows or timed schedules. Just desire rediscovered. Pleasure without purpose, beyond feeling alive together. Afterwards, straightening their clothes, they laughed like teenagers. We should probably not do that at your workplace, Vincent said. Probably not, Sienna grinned. But I'm not sorry. 6 months became a year. They attended a surrogacy agency meeting together, reviewing profiles of potential carriers. We have several wonderful candidates, the coordinator smiled. Sienna found Vincent's hand. Whatever we choose together. Then her phone rang. Her mother in Savannah, voice shaking. Honey, the doctor found something. Breast cancer. Aggressive. They want to start treatment immediately. Sienna's world tilted again. Just when they learned to stand together, life demanded they prove it. Sienna's mother diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer requiring immediate treatment. Vincent drove them to Savannah that night. No discussion, no hesitation. Just packed bags and car keys and his hand steady on her shoulder. Her childhood home in Savannah's historic district held memories of simpler times. Wraparound porch where she dreamed of true love before learning love required work, not just wishes. Her mother sat in the same rocking chair where she'd raised Sienna alone after her father left. Baby, you didn't have to come so fast, her mother said, trying to smile through obvious pain. Yes, I did. Sienna hugged her carefully. We both did. Vincent didn't just show up. He arranged everything. Best oncologists in Georgia. Treatment at Emory instead of local hospitals. Transportation, home care, financial coverage without discussion or ego. This is too much, Sienna's mother protested. It's family, Vincent said simply. And your family? How do you balance caring for aging parents while rebuilding your own life? What does real partnership look like during crisis? Comment below. Sienna split time between Savannah and Atlanta. Vincent insisted she stay as long as needed. Drove down weekends, never complained, just showed up with groceries, home repairs, quiet support. 3 weeks into treatment, he surprised her at the hospital. Sienna had been holding her mother's hand through chemotherapy, exhausted and emotionally drained. "I've been thinking," Vincent said, pulling Sienna aside, "about legacy, about what really matters." He handed her documents, not business contracts, foundation paperwork. "Medical Equity Foundation," he explained, "in your mother's name, so families don't have to choose between care and bankruptcy. So women like her, like you, never feel alone fighting impossible battles." Oh, Sienna's tears weren't from gratitude. They were from recognizing the man she married finally returning. The ambitious dreamer who once promised to build her an empire, now understanding what empire really meant. That night, in their hotel room, they sought comfort in each other, slow, emotional connection during stress, his hands gentle when she broke down. Physical reassurance that they'd survive this too. "We're going to get through this," Vincent whispered against her hair. "Together," she added, "together." Watching him sleep afterward, Sienna realized something fundamental had shifted. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were building something worth surviving for. Her mother's treatment would take months. The surrogacy decision could wait. Right now, this crisis was teaching them what marriage actually meant. Not just the beautiful moments, the hard ones too. He built an empire on properties and power. Now he was learning to build something that actually mattered, a legacy of compassion instead of conquest. Sienna's mother responded well to treatment. 6 months of chemotherapy in Savannah, with Vincent driving down every weekend. He sat in hospital waiting rooms, held her mother's hand through bad days, celebrated good test results like personal victories. The foundation became real during those long hospital hours. Vincent involved Sienna in every decision: location, mission statement, hiring, not his project with her name attached. Their project, equal partners. "Southwest Atlanta," Sienna said, pointing at the map. "That's where families need us most." The community centre in Southwest Atlanta needed complete renovation. Cracked walls, outdated equipment, families who couldn't afford anywhere else. Vincent walked through the building, seeing not charity, but justice. Seeing himself as a kid in rural Alabama before wealth sanitized his memories. "We're not saving anyone," he told the construction crew. "We're leveling the playing field." His company redirected focus toward affordable housing initiatives. Employees he'd neglected for years got apologies and second chances. Business partners who valued profit over people got replaced. What does real success look like to you? Is it wealth or impact? Share what legacy means to you in the comments. The foundation launch gala filled the renovated community centre. Local families mixed with Atlanta elite. Beverly worked the room beside Sienna's mother. 2 women who'd learned humility through crisis. Rochelle and Imani brought their children, teaching them about service instead of status. That night, back home, Vincent found Sienna in their newly redecorated bedroom. They'd replaced the cold marble aesthetic with warmer tones, made the space theirs again. "You did this," he said, pulling her close. "You made me see what matters." "We did this." He kissed her slowly, hands moving over her body with appreciation that had nothing to do with fertility. Just desire for the woman who'd survived him at his worst and stayed anyway. They made love deliberately, reclaiming their space, every touch marking new chapters, his words of gratitude whispered against her skin, her responses showing forgiveness earned, not given. Afterward, tangled together, they talked about expanding the foundation. Nashville branch, Charleston maybe. Legacy defined by impact instead of bloodline. At the opening gala, a young woman had approached Sienna nervously. "Mrs. Carmichael, I'm Elena. I'm a gestational carrier with the agency you've been working with. I'd like to offer to carry for you. Your story inspired me." Could they really try again? Second chances don't come with guarantees, but after 12 years of hell, they were finally brave enough to hope again. Elena sat across from them in their living room, 28 years old, kindergarten teacher, already had 2 children of her own, kind eyes that held genuine compassion instead of pity. I read about your foundation, Eleanor explained, about how you're helping families access healthcare. I want to help your family. Sienna's hands shook, holding her coffee cup. This is incredibly generous, but I know what you're going to say. That you don't want charity, that you've been through too much already. Elena leaned forward. But this isn't charity. This is one woman helping another. This is what community means. Vincent and Sienna talked for weeks. Long conversations late at night about fear and trauma. About whether they could survive another loss. About whether their marriage was strong enough. What if it doesn't work? Sienna whispered one night. Then we still have each other. That's enough. Is it? Vincent turned to face her in the darkness. A year ago, I would have said no. Now, you're more than enough. Everything else is just bonus. Would you try again after so much pain? What gives you courage to hope when hope has hurt you before? Tell me below. They met with fertility specialists. Different approach this time. Transparency, realistic expectations, emotional support built into the process. Beverly offered to cover all costs. They declined. This journey was theirs alone. The consultation room where they'd signed divorce papers a year ago now held different paperwork. Surrogacy agreements filled with hope instead of defeat. Possibility instead of endings. Elena underwent medical screening. Vincent's sperm retrieval happened with Sienna holding his hand. The embryo creation process felt different, not desperate, just deliberate. The night before embryo transfer, they celebrated their journey rather than the potential outcome, made love as partners who'd survived hell together. His promises of forever whispered between kisses, her finally believing him because actions proved words true. I love you, Vincent said. Baby or no baby. Success or failure. I love you. I love you too. The 2-week wait stretched longer than 12 years of trying. They distracted themselves with foundation work, family dinners, date nights, didn't talk about it constantly, didn't let hope consume them. Eleanor's phone call came on a Tuesday afternoon. Vincent and Sienna were holding hands on their terrace, the same spot where he'd proposed 17 years ago. The test is positive, Elena said, her voice breaking with joy. Sienna dropped the phone. Vincent caught her as her knees gave out. They held each other crying, not from relief, but from recognizing this wasn't the end of the story. It was barely the beginning. Pregnancy wasn't happening to Sienna's body, but it was happening to her heart, teaching her that motherhood has nothing to do with carrying and everything to do with caring. They attended every doctor's appointment with Elena, saw the first ultrasound together, tiny heartbeat flickering on screen. Vincent cried. Sienna held Eleanor's hand. 3 people creating family in ways biology books never covered. Sienna's emotions were complicated, gratitude mixed with grief. Joy tangled with loss. She wanted to be happy without shadows of what couldn't be. Some days she managed. Other days she mourned the pregnancy experience she'd never have. It's okay to feel both things, Eleanor said gently during her second trimester. Happy for what is, sad for what isn't. Both feelings can be true. Vincent was attentive to everyone, drove Elena to appointments, made sure she had everything needed. But he never forgot Sienna. Date nights continued, spontaneous touches, sustained physical connection, unrelated to the pregnancy happening outside their bedroom. Is there only one way to become a mother? What makes a family real? Share your thoughts on alternative paths to parenthood below. The nursery came together slowly, soft blues and warm woods. Not the designer showpiece Beverly initially suggested, but a room filled with actual love and intention. Sienna painted clouds on the ceiling. Vincent assembled furniture, cursing instruction manuals. Their intimate life flourished, No longer judged by reproductive capacity, Sienna's body became hers again. They made love frequently, spontaneous, passionate, celebrating connection that had survived everything. The foundation expanded during those 40 weeks. Second location opening in Nashville. Third planned for Charleston. Their daughter would grow up seeing parents who valued impact over image. Beverly threw a baby shower that actually felt joyful. Rochelle and Imani's children excited about their new cousin. Eleanor's own kids calling Vincent and Sienna auntie and uncle already. Week 38, Eleanor called at midnight. My water broke. The drive to the hospital felt both terrifying and surreal. 12 years of waiting condensed into this single night. As they scrubbed in to be present for delivery, Vincent pulled Sienna close. Whatever happens in there, we already won, because we chose each other again. She kissed him, tasting salt from tears she didn't know she was crying. Let's meet our daughter. The first cry didn't make them parents. 12 years of surviving together did that. The baby just gave them someone new to love with all that hard-won strength. Delivery took 6 hours. Elena was a warrior. Vincent held Sienna, who held Elena's hand. The three of them connected through this impossible, beautiful moment. When their daughter finally arrived, the doctor placed her directly into Sienna's arms. 6 pounds, 7 ounces of possibility wrapped in hospital blankets, dark hair like Vincent, grey eyes that would probably change, tiny fingers that gripped Vincent's thumb with surprising strength. Vincent completely broke down. This man who'd built empires, closed million-dollar deals, commanded boardrooms, reduced to sobbing mess, holding his daughter for the first time. She's perfect, he whispered. She's absolutely perfect. Elena watched from the hospital bed, exhausted but smiling. She has your nose, Vincent, and Sienna's chin. They named her Hope. Not subtle, but true. Eleanor's grace throughout the hospital's stay taught them about modern families. She held Hope, then handed her back without hesitation, pumped milk for the first few days, explaining she'd done her part, hugged them both goodbye with genuine joy instead of attachment. Call me for the christening, Eleanor said, and send pictures, lots of pictures. What moments in your life redefined everything you thought you knew? When did you realize the journey mattered more than the destination? Comment below. Bringing Hope home felt surreal. Beverly, Rochelle, Imani waiting at the house with balloons and tears. Sienna's mother holding her granddaughter, cancer-free now, crying about miracles and second chances. The first nights were exhausting. Hope cried. They took turns walking her. Vincent sang off-key lullabies. Sienna rocked her through 3 a.m. feedings. Weeks later, they reclaimed physical intimacy separate from the baby. Exhausted but genuine lovemaking. His appreciation of her through new lens. Their bond deepened by shared experience of building family their own way. 3 months into parenthood, during a 3 a.m. feeding, Sienna watched Vincent rock Hope while singing terribly. The man who once valued empire over everything now valued these quiet moments most. Her phone buzzed, Eleanor texting a photo from the foundation's new medical wing opening. Caption: We're all family now. Sienna realized their story was never about having a baby. It was about becoming people worthy of raising one. 5 years ago, she almost signed divorce papers in his office. Today, she signed documents establishing their second foundation, proving that endings can become the best beginnings. Hope turned 5 on a Tuesday. Kindergarten, Elena's classroom naturally. The birthday party filled their backyard with children from the foundation's after-school programs. Beverly taught kids how to make cookies. Rochelle and Imani's children played with their cousin. No distinction between blood and choice. The terrace where Vincent had proposed now held a small table where Hope coloured while her parents discussed opening the Nashville branch. Atlanta sprawled below, but the kingdom that mattered most fit in their arms. Their marriage was stronger than ever. Not perfect, They still argued about small things, got tired, faced normal relationship challenges. But the foundation held firm because they built it through fire. Elena remained close, godmother, friend, part of their extended family. Her own children called Hope sister, modern families defying traditional definitions. Vincent and Sienna decided on adoption for their second child. A 2-year-old boy from foster care named Christopher. Their family grew through love instead of biology, proving legacy meant more than genetics. What does real success look like to you? Is it wealth or impact? Share what legacy means to you in the comments. The foundations flourished across the South. Medical equity, affordable housing, educational programs. Vincent's empire now built compassion alongside properties. Sienna left nursing to run operations full-time, using her healthcare expertise to guide policy. Their anniversary weekend away felt earned. Not perfect, but real. They laughed over hotel room service, talked about expanding to Texas, made love with windows open and city lights witnessing their story. Vincent kissed the injection scars still faint on Sienna's abdomen. No longer marks of failure, but medals of survival. "These are beautiful," he whispered. "They're part of our story." She pulled him closer, no longer afraid of vulnerability, no longer measuring worth by what her body could produce. They connected with passion that had deepened through trials, intimacy reflecting emotional depth earned through choosing each other daily. Afterward, tangled together in hotel sheets, they talked about Hope starting school, Christopher's adoption finalization, the Foundation's 5-year expansion plan. Their daughter who taught them love transcends biology. Their son, who proved family means choosing to stay. So, what would you do if your worst years led to your best life? If pain became purpose and mistakes became lessons? Would you choose the hard road again, knowing where it leads? Comment below what this story taught you about love, resilience, and second chances. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about real love, the kind that survives, grows, and transforms. Tell me in the comments what resonated most with you. Was it Vincent's redemption, Sienna's strength, or their decision to rebuild? And remember, your worst chapter doesn't write your ending. You do.